And then David,
Okay.
did you get me?
Yep.
What I need after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it to you right now.
Okay.
So we are gonna start with an opening statement from you, please, and then we'll take questions about the game, and then we'll have Coach Banghart stay to talk a little bit more at the end about the women's basketball contract today. So you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, you guys, how about that? These guys played that game totally to the T. We wanted to come out of that game and I said, I think they might go man because of how we played the last time out, and we wanted to hammer them inside. And then when they went to zone, we figured they'd go to their 1-3-1. We wanted Alyssa to really know her reads. These guys played that game totally to the scout. I'm really proud of them. So I, just by nature of who we are, I had to talk about the team first. But the woman to my left, you guys, it's such a gift that you get to watch her play basketball. There's so many people who have to watch her on TV or listen to Matt, who does a great job. But watching Alyssa play basketball, I've been saying that she's a great athlete and she's relentless, but she's really learning how to play basketball. 16 rebounds, 16 points, 10 assists. It's not just a triple-double. She shattered it, right? And there are so many jerseys of really, really good players that have played through this program. Players that they're a reason I'm here, right? Because I wanted to try to bring kind of that back. And to know that she's the only one who's gotten a triple-double here, with the way who she is, how she plays hard, and she's selfless. She should make all you Tar Heel fans really proud because she does things the right way. So I'm really happy for her. I'm glad she's here with Maria because, obviously a lot of the assists were to Maria. But I would be remiss not to say how proud I am of you, Alyssa, how glad I am to be your coach. And don't forget, I recruited you. I'll never forget that.
Alyssa, how early did you start thinking about it? Did somebody tell you how your numbers at halftime?
No, I wasn't really focused on it, and I don't think that was really a concern at the time because we were going to the half maybe down 2 or up 2, so that was our major concern. We want to be a top 25 team, and that's a spot that we want to be in. We want to be ranked, and we know that we deserve to be ranked, so we had to prove it. So that was not my mind at all. I was just trying to focus on bringing whatever the game called for.
What are your emotions in reaching this historical moment in program history?
Yeah, it hasn't really sunk in yet. But I'm just really glad to be surrounded by so many teammates that encourage me and that celebrate me. And Maria made my job so easy. She got a deep position. She did her work early down in the low post, and she was finishing, and that was just a great game. And then we were playing to the scout. That was something. Getting inside was our focus, and when we didn't need to make too many adjustments, clearly, because I just kept throwing it into Maria, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. So I'm just really proud of our team as a whole and glad that we got the win.
Alyssa, did you feel super locked in once the game started? Or was this just another day at the office for you? 16, 16, and 10.
I would just say it's going into the game, it's just another day at the office. We're clocking in, ready to go, and we're ready to fight as soon as the tip is going up. And then we're fighting every quarter. That's something that we've been working on this season is punching first every single quarter and just being relentless.
What was it about the way they were playing defense, especially in the first half, that allowed you to rack up all those assists, 9 in the first half?
It didn't really matter how they're playing defense. It was how good my teammates are offensively. Maria's giving those low post defenders an absolute terrible time down there. They were not having fun, I can tell you that. Because Maria's just bullying them down there, and then our shooters are getting shot ready, and they're just ready to go. So my job was super easy. The harder job was on Maria and a couple of other shooters.
Did you ever have 10 assists in high school?
I have no idea. I have no clue. Probably, maybe not. I don't know.
Maria, I think you had 15 points in the first half. And the scout, and it looked like it was just kind of folded in front of you. Were you surprised at kind of how open things were for you once you got the passes from Alyssa and everybody else?
I think knowing that I had to play with a lot of effort and just coming to this game knowing that their post present wasn't as good as ours, I knew what I needed to do, so I wasn't as surprised. But I was just kind of just keep going, just keep getting the assists. Just keep scoring, getting the passes from Liz. It'll keep opening up for us.
Maria, I felt like every time you touched the ball, you were directly underneath the basket. You were so deep in the post.
Yes.
Maybe it's a bit of a simple question, but can you just explain how much easier it makes your job when you are positioning yourself that well before you can touch the ball? Yeah, something I've just been working on throughout the week was getting deep positioning in the paint and just finishing over my left and right shoulder. So being able to do that, working on that with my position coach has helped me a lot with just all around. So.
Alyssa, I remember after the Oklahoma game, coach said something about, this is your team too. You've been here 4 years, you're a leader. It feels like over the past month or so, you have been more assertive in games. Has that been like a conscious thing? Like, sort of your approach going into games? Like, I can impact this game too?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't even know really the answer myself, but I've recognized it, and just like bringing my best self every day for our team and being intentional about that, and not just like not clocking in with the attitude of like, oh, it's another day, but oh my gosh, it's another day. And so kind of making that mental shift, I think, would be the only thing that I could really pinpoint that has been that shift. But yeah.
But I think too, I was pretty direct. We were pretty direct. Listen, and I get along real well, but I was pretty direct in my office, closed door, about how good players have to play well in big games, right? And this is the time of the season where it's a big, every game is big. And so she doesn't have an option anymore to like see how the game goes. She has to impact the game in a positive way for us to win. And so she took it and got right back in. I think got right in the gym that afternoon, right? And so I think she's approaching the game, as is Lexi, as is Maria, that like they are obligated to play well in big games. And in the non-conference, I'm not sure they did that enough as a group. And so it's good to see that they've made that shift that like, okay, we have an obligation to play well in big games.
When did this meeting with Alyssa happen?
Right after the UConn game.
Yep.
Right after the UConn game.
Coach, speaking of big games, you guys have two tough road games coming up at Notre Dame and at Florida State. How big was this win to, as you say, stack days, stack W's, to sort of get on that road trip on the right foot?
Yeah, I mean, this league is so good. I mean, as you can see, obviously, with what Syracuse has done, and I think there's 6, should be 7, probably ranked teams. I mean, it's just so good, and so you just have to stack wins. Whoever it is, you just got to get it. So after who we play first, Clemson, I didn't even show the kids any of the film from that game. We just had to move on because we have the next opponent, right? And so now we've got in 2 practice days, and then we have Notre Dame. I don't know if I have time to show them this game. Like we got to move on. Now we got to get ready for Notre Dame, and they were totally locked into how we wanted to play. And I think part of that is that I have to be mindful that I just want them to get better, and part of that is just winning the next game at this point in the season.
Can I get reactions from all three of you when you heard Monday that you guys were not ranked anymore? What was the talk on the team? Was it a motivating factor? What was your reactions?
I can go first. I was like, I don't even know how I found out. Definitely not as early as probably you all did, because I don't really track on all that. But I think for me, I told the team that to be ranked, you have to beat ranked teams. There's no other way around it, right? You can't. Our color's really pretty. That doesn't get you ranked, right? You have to beat good teams. You have to beat ranked teams to be ranked, so that now they have a spot. You've got a lot of ranked teams in this league. Stack them together, right? So that I think I found out pretty soon after I talked to you guys. So I found out way later than anybody else.
Yeah. I think it only puts more motivation for us to keep proving ourselves and improving on the things that we need to get better at, so we can beat those ranked teams, because we understand that getting those wins are a priority to be ranked in the top 25. And so, although it was kind of a shock because we came off a Clemson win, and then it's like, oh, what? But yeah, that's just another chip on our shoulder, and we're gonna carry that with us. And tonight was a great show of that.
Maria and Alyssa, can y'all talk? Or sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
Maria, Alyssa.
Well, they want her to answer.
Okay.
How did you feel?
I think we had a lot. Like Alyssa said, we had a chip on our shoulder, especially me, just knowing that I had to come and bring the kind of consistency that I had at the beginning of the season. So knowing that I had to step up and be a force inside was a motivating factor, and then it helped tonight, just having this big win.
We're sure glad you're here.
And Maria and Alyssa, can you talk about your relationship development over the season and how that translated on the court tonight?
Yeah, I think like Maria and I spent a lot of time like in our post group together, and just practicing with each other. And so that's where you start to build your like in-game chemistry. And so doing that has helped a lot. And then just being each other's biggest motivators and cheerleaders, because we're in the trenches together, going after rebounds, trying to dig them out, and setting good screens. All those little things that take a little more attention to detail. We're with each other on that. And so we're going through the same thing. And so we're there just to support each other.
Yeah, I think just iron sharpens iron, just making sure that we're going hard during practice, during our positional workouts, giving each other our best. Alyssa's a really good rebounder, really good player. So being able to play against her and then playing with her at the 4 and the 5, just making sure that we work on those things during practice, and then that helps in the games.
About the job that Lexi did on Fair.
Lexi and India.
India.
We wanted to make sure she sees 2 different looks. I wouldn't want Lexi or India anywhere near me if I had the basketball. And so we wanted to make sure that we you know, they probably spent about equal time on her by design, and they were great. I mean, look at, she had to take a million shots, but more importantly, she didn't make her teammates better, right? And that's what she's really good at, is she carries the ball and is able to find her guys for open shots. So India and Lexi were, as we said to the team, they were just a huge part of that game. It's great.
Coach, can you talk about Maria's development over the
Yeah.
season and how vital she is to this team?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked, because, you know, Maria was a kid that we really, you know, it was between us and BC on the way in, right? And I remember our first year we played at BC, and I was like, we can't even get a shot off. This kid's so annoying. And then, truth be told, she goes into the portal, and I was like, oh my God, how is this possible? And, you know, and then I'll be honest, we're asking her to do a little bit more, and a lot more probably, than what she was being asked to do before. Because this is a team that's really trying to get far, and so there's a level of competition that's required every day. And so I'm what I'm most proud of Maria. You guys get to see how good she is. I get to see how she takes to coaching, right? This is a big adjustment. She's brand new to this program. You're seeing that we're finally starting to get that figured out with her and India and Lexi. But we've asked her to do so much more on both ends than she had to do either of her first 2 years, and do it all the time. Not like sometimes, and then she can take a little bit of time off, and then sometimes, and oh, this game might not go our way, so it doesn't matter. No, every game matters, and every possession matters. And she's just gotten so much better. I mean, she's on draft boards, and she should be. And she's only going to get better. We've got a whole nother offseason with her and another season.
Coach, the Syracuse 7-0 run to end the half to cut it from 9-2. Do you feel like, you know, that made your job easier in the in the locker room to, you know, fire the team up for the second half, because you came out, outscored them 25-6 in the third?
You know, I felt I liked what we were doing offensively in the first half. It was the defensive sort of, we made these, basically what happened in the first half defensively, as we told them, was that our gap defense was not where it needed to be. So in other words, we were allowing them to play 1v1 in the middle of the floor. That was never the plan, so we had to reinvent that. And then also they were tipping rebounds, and our guards were leaking out. And so these guys are trying to get it, and so we really talked about gang rebounding through tips, and they did that much better, made a massive adjustment there. So not really. I'm, as you probably know by now, I'm more cerebral than I am about runs. It's like, how are we playing, and how are they, where are their holes, and where are they exploiting us? So I think it was more, I mean, you guys were in the time. I feel like it's more, here's what our adjustments need to be. It's not quite as emotional as in the timeouts. I don't know.
No, I think we're just like reading the game as it goes and taking what comes to us, and if something's working, keep doing it. And so that was what we did tonight.
Alyssa, after the Clemson game, we talked about your offensive rebounding, but that was with long shots, mainly like 3-pointers. Today, a lot of baskets under the rim and everything. Can you further narrate your like pursuit of the ball and offensive rebounding?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I also noticed tonight that it was a lot underneath the basket, and Syracuse is a great team, and they had a lot of post players that were super aggressive, so that made my job pretty challenging. But I just had to meet the physicality and try to fight for those boards and stay out of foul trouble, which was another goal of mine tonight, which I'm very proud. But yeah, it's just reading how the ball, like watching the ball go up and just see how it's coming off the rim, and if we're on defense, then walking out first and trying to find a body. So then I have I'm a step ahead to the rebound before my opponent.
It's effort too, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Did going up against Clemson's zone really help you that much? Because those zones were very different.
Very different.
How did you navigate the Syracuse zone tonight?
You know, they ran a couple of them, 3-2, 2-3, 1-3-1. They stuck in that 1-3-1 a lot. You know, so we were able to, especially at halftime, talk about what that looked like. You know, and we talked about using as they were cutting the floor, talk about using the corner, keeping your dribble. You know, your 2-on-1 on the backside if you get the ball in the wing area. So, you know, it was helping them see a zone. This is not a zone our practice guys aren't here right now, so we had no practice against it. So it was a lot of theoretical, like, well, this is, you know, and I think there's just a lot of trust. They see it, they do it. But yeah, they were very different zones.
Coach, I don't know if this is recency bias, but I mean, obviously you getting the first triple-double in program history.
Very cool.
It just feels like with women's college basketball, you're seeing more and more of records like that getting broken, more triple-doubles.
Good point.
Why do you think that's the case? What do you think is different about the game today?
God, the game is so fast. So there's just more possessions, and the stats guys might know that more better than me, but the talent level and the speed of play is remarkable. I've been in this game a long time, and you know, these guys they can all do so much with the ball. You know, there's not as much you know, I don't know where you put Alyssa. Is she a guard? Is she a forward? Is she a facilitator? Is she a finisher? Is she a rep? I don't know, right? And so there's just more versatility, as well as athleticism. And so that leads to more possessions and also more impact on the game. And it becomes a recruiting issue, right? You've got to get kids that can give you what they can give you, you know, because there's now a bigger difference between the kids that are really good and the kids that are okay, right? And so you've got to really recruit your butt off to make sure that they're in the right colors.
Coach or anyone, what can you say about Deja's ability to control the game at the guard position, even when she's not having the best shooting night? I mean, still 2 blocks, 3 rebounds, 4 assists.
Yeah. You know, Deja is a typical and very special upperclassman and realizes that whatever it takes to win, I'm all in for it. I mean, she, you know, I think there's a narrative out there that Deja cares about her stats. Deja cares about winning all the time, whether she's throwing up at media timeouts or not. All she cares about is winning, right? And so, you know, today, I think for her to get Paulina and Renaya valuable minutes at the lead guard, and she could sit out some, she was like, let's go, you know. And so, you know, I'd say the same I said earlier. I think I have a high expectation that our seniors, of which Lexi and Maria are kind of our older guys in that group, I have a high expectation that they play well. My job is to bring them where they want to go. If that's where they want to go, well then they got to listen and do what they're asked to do. And so, you know, Deja is another one of those seniors that she has to play well. And whether that's if she's not making her shots, there are a lot of other ways, to your question, to impact the game. I think there wasn't enough of that. We didn't have enough players play well in big games before we got much better rotation. Now we've got healthier bodies so people can rest a little bit. I got you a little bit of a rest tonight. I got you a little bit of rest tonight. So it makes a huge difference.
Coach, after Alyssa secured her triple-double, she came over and you had a little bit of a conversation with her. What did you say to her? Did you just tell her that she'd broken the record, or what was that conversation like?
Yeah, I wanted her to know that, because she was literally probably like, okay, what's next? What am I doing? I wanted her to know that she got the first triple-double, and that how many good players have been in this gym, right? And I also wanted her to know that I was really glad that she was a target.
Was that the first you knew of it when she told you?
No, there was I could hear some fans yelling at me that I'm close to it and I needed one more point. So when I was on the free throw line, I was like, woo!
And you got it on a free throw.
Yeah.
Did you see how much that when you come out, how many people cheer for you?
Yeah, no, that was amazing.
Every time, not just that.
Coach, can you speak to the physicality of this game? That was something that Syracuse coach
Oh.
Felicia Jack said is one of the biggest differences in this game for her team versus your team.
Yeah. We knew that the very first word on the scout was tough. Syracuse is tough. I think I kind of made fun of where they live and said, they live in northern New York. They have to be tough. You got to find food. You got to drive in the snow. I mean, you got to do all the things. And so we knew that toughness was going. That was the first thing we said, also today before we ran out. Tough. This was not a game. You can't ask tough kids to gently move over and, is it okay if you try this? You have to go right at them, right? And so toughness was one of our major priorities today. Not because we were trying to be bullies, but because they're tough. And you have to match that. Felicia's done an awesome job. These guys are hard to beat, and you'll see that more and more as the season goes on. They're hard to beat because they're tough, and I'm really proud of the toughness our team showed. We didn't show that much before Christmas. We didn't have enough of it, and I think these guys are finding that they've got a lot of toughness and that they can share.
Maria, Coach kind of described tasking you with doing more. Can you kind of describe the emotions behind being able to live up to that so successfully in a ranked win tonight?
I would say just from the past 2 years that I was at my previous school, there wasn't a lot asked of me, but knowing that I play for a team that is going for big things and wants to go to March Madness, knowing that I've never been there, I have motivation within myself, and then I have teammates that, that motivate me every day, and coaches that tell me how important my job is. So knowing that I have to come every day and just bring a different level of what I was doing before has helped me kind of just grow as a player.
What if we let the players go?
Sure.
And we'll keep you to talk.
Thanks, guys.
Can you guys hear us on Zoom?
Yeah, I can just a few opening remarks regarding what happened today with Charlie Baker's announcement. First off, just how proud I am of the game in general, the peers that have been a part of it, players and coaches, helping us get to this day. ESPN's been a great partner. They've been celebrating women's basketball and a major contributor to that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do moving forward. Today's announcement did, and again, I spent a lot of time in this game, so was a little extra special because it realizes that there's an increased value in women's basketball by a large quantity, right? Are we there yet? Could it have been higher? One would argue we could have been maybe higher, but it's a whole lot higher than where our current valued assessment was before this contract. And so the important part of that is the valuation is moving in the right direction, and it's a good starting point for continued growth. And then probably the biggest thing is that Charlie is very open. Charlie Baker, that is, has said publicly that he's ready to explore unit distribution. And I know you guys all are responsible for writing about that, so that make sure people understand how important that is. But to be rewarded for postseason success financially encourages your campus to invest more in the sport. And so it's just I'm really lucky I'm at a place that's invested in women's basketball. Obviously, you can see all the banners and the facility that it's invested in women's basketball for a long time, but not a lot of coaches can say that. And so the fact that there's now an increased attention and motivation at the very highest level to talk about unit distribution, I think even 5 years ago, no one thought that would be a reality. So the investment that is proven is really exciting. Happy to take any questions.
Coach. Can we ask on Zoom?
Yeah,
okay.
Totally. Yeah.
Hey, Courtney, Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
Thank you. I'll even turn my camera on for you if you want.
Good, I'm going to judge your outfit.
Charlie,
You look nicer than I do.
Makeup during the rest of this
I was going to say, you look nicer than I do. You're on freaking Zoom. Good for you.
I'm going to a game.
Okay.
Charlie said today that the unit distribution is going to happen.
Yeah.
That he views that as a way to differentiate women's basketball and recognize the value. I guess what I'm curious about is 8 years is a really long time, and women's basketball could be at an even more popular point. Like in 2 years, is there any part of you that thinks maybe we should have taken a shorter contract? Did you know about this? I talked to a bunch of coaches today who were shocked when the news dropped today.
No, it was pretty quick. I mean, I actually spoke at a thing for our school today. I was speaking to our campus health group, and I get out and my phone had blown up. And I was like, oh, Lord, and it's game day. So then I got on with the WBCA people in emergency Zoom and learned it. They learned it too, right? And so, I hear what you're saying, and there's a lot of agreement there that I was surprised it was a long contract, but I also haven't read any of the fine tune. I haven't read any of the fine language. There's probably a way out if there's a change to college basketball in some way with all the changes that are happening. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of fine print that I have not had the access to. So I'm choosing to focus on the valuation that at least we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Of course. Doug, you got one? Fellow Ivy Leaguer?
I always got one for you, my friend.
Hit me.
I mean, are you happy as the coach and as the head of the WBCA that they got this deal for $65 million for women's hoops?
And there's an element of happiness for sure that it's showing great progress. It's a whole lot better than the valued assessment was yesterday, and so the fact that we're not only that it's $65 million and it's probably 100%, it's 800% more than what it was, previously assumed, over in its totality, shows that the work that we're doing is paying off in a lot of ways. And so I think from the baseline, we are happy. I think I'm proud of the peers and those that came before us and those that are in it. Proud of the student athletes. Happy with ESPN for stepping up. Do I think could it have been evaluated higher? Could it have been a shorter contract to continue to keep your market value? I don't. Luckily, I have my own problems to deal with. I don't get paid to make those hard decisions. But I think overall, from the beginning, on the surface level, there's a lot to be proud of.
Ivy education, you're always smart enough to figure things out.
Well, I don't get to read the fine print, so.
My one other question for you, there have been talk of sort of separating women's basketball from everything else.
Yeah, standalone.
And obviously Carolina's got a lot of really good sports down there.
Yeah.
Can you sort of see that how maybe it's good for everybody that if this bundle for $115 million a year gets more sports like soccer and gymnastics and softball and volleyball on more coverage, that could help the bigger picture, so to speak, for college women's sports?
Well, especially the sports it's the schools that have a lot of good teams, right? So we would, like you said, we would benefit from that because we have more, the Olympic sports Carolina would be on that more than some others, right? So that helps. you know, I think the big thing is the unit distribution, right? I think that's the difference. That's the separator. You know, equal revenue sharing and not getting rewarded for the investment you're making in women's basketball over time with how stretched these athletic directors are. How do you tell them to continue to invest in women's basketball, right? Except that it's just out of the goodness of their own heart, right? Which again, I'm fortunate. I have an AD who values it, right, and values Olympic sports. But you know, now if once we get money assessed and money attached to postseason success, you know, you get rewarded, and it's the next step of bringing other people along too, because then ADs who maybe their hands are forced a little bit. So, you know, I think in that way, it's if other schools or other sports are being included, great, because then again, Carolina can benefit. But I think it's the units distribution. I think makes a bigger difference for us.
Thanks, Court. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Sorry for your patience. Thanks for being patient, Lindsay. What do you got?
I just have a quick follow-up because I texted Douglas and he didn't know the answer.
Oh, great.
So earlier in the press conference, you said we were going 1v1 a lot, which is a soccer term.
Yeah.
Are you a giant soccer fan? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, not bragging, but I was a high school American. Yep, and I also, I was. A funny story, I was recruited to play soccer, and then the coach there at the time at Dartmouth took the Stanford job. He's now the head coach at Virginia, Steve Swanson. He called me and said, I'm taking the Stanford job. You can come with me, or you can stay as Dartmouth's top recruit, and I called the basketball coach. So yeah, a lot of my lingo is, same thing with our breaking up the zone. We talk about the angles that you have in soccer. Yeah, I'm a soccer fan.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate learning something new every day.
Of course. All right, guys.
All right.
Mitch.
I have one.
Yeah.
So the unit distribution thing,
Mhm.
I guess I'm a little skeptical and I'm wondering if you're a little disappointed. You know, it says we're gonna explore and we're committed to unit distribution, but you know, we know what a unit is in men's basketball.
Yep.
We know the figure,
Mhm.
we know that they get paid out. I guess is that disappointed that like that's not a done deal like today?
Mm-hmm. Good question. I don't know if you heard Mitchell. He was asking about the fact that is it a carrot that they're throwing out the value that they're throwing out unit distribution, and would we have liked to have had a number to that, right? I think there's enough. I'm also, again, we were as surprised as y'all were how quickly it all happened, and so without reading the fine print, I don't know. I think to Lindsay's point, it sounds like they're definitely going to do it, and so I don't think you take those drastic steps and make it penny change, right? And so I don't know. Again, I'm sort of forced to just be grateful that we didn't get assessed at a number that forced us to go shopping more, and or not showing growth at the rate that it was, right? And I'm going to have full faith that the unit distribution will be needle moving for the programs that have invested heavily in women's basketball.
Awesome.
So far, that's 2, team. 2. Boom.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
Of course.
I know that soccer fun fact.
You didn't know it?
No.
Oh gosh, that's widely told. Dana knows all that. Dana, you can tell that story.
Yes, I do think I've heard of it.